Adapted from archaic translation by H.T. Francis and Ra. Neil. Jataka number 322. Dadaba Jataka. From the spot where, etc. This story was told by the master, when he lived at Jetavana monastery, about some wrong believers. These wrong believers, they say, in various places near Jetavana monastery, made their beds on thorns, suffered the 5 times forms of fire penance, and practiced false asceticism of many different kinds. Now a number of the brethren, after going their rounds for alms in Shravasti city, on their way back to Jetavana monastery saw these wrong believers undergoing their pretended austerities, and came and asked the master, "Is there, sir, any virtue in these different sects monks in taking upon them these practices?" The master said, "There is no virtue, brethren, nor any special merit in it. When it is examined and tested, it is like a path over a dunghill, or like the noise the hare heard. We do not know, sir, what that noise was. Tell us, holy sir." So at their request he told him an old world legend. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta reigned in Benares, the bodhisattva came to life as a young lion. And when fully grown he lived in a wood. At this time there was near the western ocean a grove of palms mixed with vilva trees. A certain hare lived here beneath a palm sapling, at the foot of a vilva tree. One day this hare after feeding came and lay down beneath the young palm tree. And the thought struck him, "If this earth should be destroyed, what would become of me?" And at this very moment a ripe vilva fruit fell on a palm leaf. At the sound of it, the hare thought, "This solid earth is collapsing," and starting up he fled, without so much as looking behind him. Another hare saw him running off, as if frightened to death, and asked the cause of his panic flight. "I request, don't ask me," he said. The other hare cried, "I request, sir, what is it?" and kept running after him. Then the hare stopped a moment and without looking back said, "The earth here is breaking up." And at this the second hare ran after the other. And so first one and then another hare caught sight of him running, and joined in the chase till 100,000 hares all took to flight together. They were seen by a deer, a boar, an elk, a buffalo, a wild ox, a rhinoceros, a tiger, a lion and an elephant. And when they asked what it meant and were told that the earth was breaking up, they too took to flight. So by degrees this assemblage of animals extended to the length of a full league. When the bodhisattva saw this headlong flight of the animals, and heard the cause of it was that the earth was coming to an end, he thought, "The earth is nowhere coming to an end. Surely it must be some sound which was misunderstood by them. And if I don't make a great effort, they will all perish. I will save their lives." So with the speed of a lion he got before them to the foot of a mountain, and lion-like roared 3 times. They were terribly frightened at the lion, and stopping in their flight stood all huddled together. The lion went in amongst them and asked why they were running away. "The earth is collapsing," they answered. "Who saw it collapsing?" He said. "The elephants know all about it," they replied. He asked the elephants. "We don't know," they said. "The lions know." But the lions said, "We don't know, the tigers know." The tigers said, "The rhinoceroses know." The rhinoceroses said, "The wild oxen know." The wild oxen, the buffaloes. The buffaloes, the elks. The elks, the boars. The boars, the deer. The deer said, "We don't know, the hares know." When the hares were questioned, they pointed to one particular hare and said, "This one told us." So the bodhisattva asked, "Is it true, sir, that the earth is breaking up?" "Yes, sir, I saw it," said the hare. "Where?" he asked. "Were you living, when you saw it?" "Near the ocean, sir, in a grove of palms mixed with vilva trees. For as I was lying beneath the shade of a palm sapling at the foot of a vilva tree, I think, if this earth should break up, where shall I go? And at that very moment I heard the sound of the breaking up of the earth and I fled. Thought the lion. A ripe vilva fruit evidently must have fallen on a palm leaf and made a thud, and this hare jumped to the conclusion that the earth was coming to an end, and ran away. I will find out the exact truth about it. So he reassured the herd of animals, and said, I will take the hare and go and find out exactly whether the earth is coming to an end or not, in the place pointed out by him. Until I return, do you stay here. Then placing the hare on his back, he sprang forward with the speed of a lion, and putting the hare down in the palm grove, he said, Come, show us the place you meant. I dare not, my lord, said the hare. Come, don't be afraid, said the lion. The hare, not venturing to go near the vilva tree, stood afar off and cried, Over there, sir, is the place of dreadful sound, and so saying, he repeated the first stanza. From the spot where I did dwell issued on a fearful thud. What it was I could not tell, nor what caused it understood. After hearing what the hare said, the lion went to the foot of the vilva tree, and saw the spot where the hare had been lying beneath the shade of the palm tree, and the ripe vilva fruit that fell on the palm leaf. And having carefully ascertained that the earth had not broken up, he placed the hare on his back and with the speed of a lion soon came again to the herd of beasts. Then he told him the whole story, and said, Don't be afraid. And having thus reassured the herd of beasts, he let them go. Truly, if it had not been for the bodhisattva at that time, all the beasts would have rushed into the sea and perished. It was all owing to the bodhisattva that they escaped death. Alarmed at sound of fallen fruit, a hare once ran away, the other beasts all followed suit, moved by that hare's dismay. They moved fast not to view the scene, but lent a willing ear to idle gossip, and were clean mad with foolish fear. They who to wisdom's calm delight and virtue's heights attain, though ill example should invite, such panic fear refuse. These three stanzas were inspired by perfect wisdom. The master, having ended his lesson, identified the birth. At that time I myself was the lion. Source. Adapted from archaic translation by H.T. Francis and Ra. Neil. Jataka number 323. Brahmadatta Jataka. Such is the quality, etc. This story was told by the master, while living in the Agalava shrine near Alavi, concerning the regulations to be observed in the building of cells. The introductory story has been already set on in the Manikanta birth. But on this occasion the master said, Is it true, brethren, that you live here by your importunity in asking and begging for alms? And when they answered yes, he rebuked them and said, Wise men of old, when offered their choice by the king, though they were longing to ask for a pair of single-soled shoes, through fear of doing violence to their sensitive and scrupulous nature, did not venture to say a word in the presence of the people, but spoke in private. And so saying he told him an old-world legend. Once upon a time in the Kampalaka kingdom, when a Panchala king was reigning in a North Panchala city, the bodhisattva was born into a Brahmin family, in a certain market town. And when he was grown up, he acquired a knowledge of the arts at Taxila. Afterwards taking to holy order of disciples, as an ascetic and living in the Himalaya country, he lived for a long time by what he could forage, feeding on wild fruits and roots, and wandering into the habitations of men for the purpose of procuring salt and vinegar. He came to a city of North Panchala and took up his dwelling in the king's garden. Next day he went into the city to beg alms, and came to the king's gate. The king was so pleased with his manner and behavior that seated him on the dais and fed him with food worthy of a king. And he bound him by an earnest promise and assigned him a lodging in the garden. He lived constantly in the king's house. And at the end of the rainy season, being anxious to return to the Himalayas, he thought, If I go upon this journey, I must get a pair of single-soled shoes and umbrella of leaves. I will beg them of the king. One day he came to the garden, and finding the king sitting there, he saluted him and resolved he would ask him for the shoes and umbrella. But his second thought was, a man who begs of another, saying, "Give me so and so," is sure to weep. And the other man also when he refuses, saying, "I have it not," in his turn weeps. And that the people might not see either him or the king weeping, he thought, "We will both weep quietly in some secret place." So he said, "Great king, I am anxious to speak with you in private." The royal attendants on hearing this departed. Thought the bodhisattva, if the king should refuse my prayer, our friendship will be at an end. So I will not ask a boon of him. That day, not venturing to mention the subject, he said, "Go now, great king, I will see about this matter in due course." Another day on the king's coming to the garden, saying, as before, first this and then that, he could not frame his request. And so 12 years elapsed. Then the king thought, this priest said, "I wish to speak in private," and when the courtiers are departed, he has not the courage to speak. And while he is longing to do so, 12 years have elapsed. After living a religious life so long, I suspect, he is regretting the world. He is eager to enjoy pleasures and is longing for power of governing. But being unable to frame the word kingdom, he keeps silent. Today now I will offer him whatever he desires, from my kingdom downwards. So he went to the garden and sitting down saluted him. The bodhisattva asked to speak to him in private, and when the courtiers had departed, he could not utter a word. The king said, "For 12 years you have asked to speak to me in private, and when you have had the opportunity, you have not been able to say a word. I offer you everything, beginning with my kingdom. Do not be afraid, but ask for whatever you please." "Great king," he said, "will you give me what I want?" "Yes, reverend sir, I will." "Great king, when I go on my journey, I must have a pair of single-soled shoes and umbrella of leaves. Have you not been able, sir, for 12 years to ask for such a low one as this?" "That is so, great king." "Why, sir, did you act thus?" "Great king, the man who says give me so and so, sheds tears, and the one who refuses and says I have it not, in his turn weeps. If, when I begged, you should have refused me, I feared the people might see us mingling our tears. This is why I asked for a secret interview." Then from the beginning he repeated 3 stanzas. "Such is the quality of prayer, O king, it will be a rich gift or a refusal bring. Who beg, Panchala Lord, to weep are fain, they who refuse are likely to weep again. Else people see us shed the idle tear, my prayer I whisper in your secret ear." The king, being charmed with this mark of respect on the part of the bodhisattva, granted him the boon and spoke the 4th stanza. "Brahman, I offer you 1,000 cows, red cows, and hard-working, the leader of the herd. Hearing but now these generous words of yours, I too in turn to generous deed am stirred." But the bodhisattva said, "I do not, sire, desire material pleasures. Give me that only which I ask for." And he took a pair of single-soled shoes and the umbrella of leaves, and encouraged the king to be zealous in righteous path and to keep the moral law and observe fast days. And though the king begged him to stay, he went off to the Himalayas, where he developed all the faculties and attainments, and was destined to birth in the Brahma world. The master, having ended his lesson, identified the birth. At that time Ananda was the king, and I myself was the ascetic.